right, Scott, it's me and you, hopefully, finding each other in this very barren, open survival wasteland.
All right, Nate, this time we're checking out DayZ's DLC, Livonia. Now, this one, just like DayZ, is, well, what did you think of this game?
All right, man. Well, it was tough, man. This game has a massive learning curve to it because unlike most survival games that I've played, which are typically pretty difficult.
And your thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it's my thing. I love survival games, but this game, it's just, you spend so much time trying to find resources and become very unsuccessful most of the time. Or when you do find some, you might just find the clip of a gun, but then never find the gun. You might just find that clip.
Yeah, so this is, you're hitting the nail on the head there, because it is a survival exploration game, but the exploration is punishing every time.
Every time.
When you start a character in this game, you get a little bit of some create a character pieces, you spawn, you drop into this world, and it is just apocalyptic. Think of 28 Days Later, but there's not even zombies around. Like, there's a few, but they're not really around.
And that's just the thing. It is so barren. There's hardly any animals. There are some that you can collect for meat, but those are just the occasional chickens that I came across. But it's just super barren. Everything is, I get it because it's kind of the feel. It is it's a zombie apocalypse. Everything's run down and dead, but it just felt a little too empty for me.
Yeah, and some of that is the persistence server versus not persistence. In a persistence server, you stand the chance of somebody going through that area before you and kind of already swiping up all the goods. But even if you drop into like a brand new server in this game, it will punish you. You might just die a couple times before you get anything that kind of builds up a character, and it's very hard to even just stay alive, get the food that you need. When you spawn in the main game, you get one piece of food and a rag. No matter what. You get maybe some other items, but you get that no matter what. And that's designed to just kind of get you to the next town or whatever. In Livonia, I think every time I spawn in the rainstorm in the middle of the dead night. Totally can't see anything around, and I have to stumble my way to a building where I don't find any food. I find 2 bullets but no gun, and then I some clothing that I just will never need. So unfortunately, there's that aspect of this game where it just keeps punching you every time you try to sit down and get into it.
Oh man. So to complement this kind of, lack of ingredients and stuff to find, the inventory system is a little lackluster, but rightfully so. It's a survival game. You're meant to, if you want to drink the bottle, you have to put it physically in your hands and then sit there and drink it for 45 seconds.
Yeah, so some weird minutia of how to survive is in there. I got some dried rice and then I just ate the dried rice, but the problem was that I never added water to it, so it helped me for a second and then drastically took away all my health and food and water intake. So yeah,
there's a learning curve to a lot of the things. You'll pick up an item, and you'll be like, okay, what do I use this for? So it's just a massive learning curve.
Piece to it.
Yeah, exactly. There's a whole crafting system which mostly comes in later for the hardcore crafting.
Yeah, the few who stick around and can actually get enough duct tape to string together things.
Yeah. Build a car even useful. Somehow.
Yeah, it can be done in this game. I know, I've seen the videos, but it's leagues ahead of anything that the Survivor starter is going to get to, unfortunately. The inventory is really rough. I had a hard time just moving stuff into my hand and then versus my pants pocket, and then moving that, or if you need to drop something and equip it, like that gets really messy. So it's things that make sense where you can't put your boots on without taking them out of your backpack. Everybody knows that, but when it comes to a game, I just want to hit Y and equip my item, That disconnect was, again, punishing, but it fits in with the game.
Yeah, and with the game at the very start, they kind of ask you, do you want to do the tutorial? And they tell you it is a very basic tutorial. They give you about 3 or 4 tips, and then they slap you in the game. So
I was lucky enough
like everything, you just have to figure it out yourself.
I was lucky enough to have somebody who was experienced at the game sit down with me and kind of guide me through the first many lives that I went through to get a kind of grip on it, but I had a hard time jumping in with a friend, and that's something that I think this game could definitely benefit from a lot. If you jump into a friend's game, you just drop somewhere in the map, and the map is actually giant. Even the DLC, it's just way too big that you would never want to walk from one side to the other.
Oh, it's insane, and you have to find a compass or a map or a street name that has a lot of characters that for most of us generally don't understand, so it's just, it's tough, man. Like that's what this game needs in my opinion. I played Ark, that's my main staple of a survival game, and I prefer having a zone spawn. Let me spawn in the north, let me spawn in the southeast, whatever it is, just so I can maybe play with my friends, because this would be pretty fun to try to survive with my friends, but to spend maybe up to 2 hours to try to find you, but to die doing so, it's just,
to get 2
it's
hours,
not worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, no, what they need is a more fleshed out multiplayer system. I like this game as a survival game, but when it comes to, jumping in with friends and stuff, I want more of a competitive edge, and I think that's kind of a lot of the feedback that they received. This company also went on to create Vigor, and that makes a lot of sense now. So if you think about Vigor and how it looks kind of like PUBG, but a little empty, and that's generally how DayZ looks, and it really, I think they kind of took a lot of the aspects that would be really good in DayZ and just kind of made their own game out of it. So I don't know if we'll ever get the kind of updates, and
hopefully maybe one day. It is an older game now, so
yeah, it's fading away, but it's so complicated, and there is still a hardcore community. You never really know what's going to come out.
Yeah. Well, Scott, if this game couldn't get any more punishing, dude, it did, because there's no, there's no beds that you can build to respawn back in. When you die, it's permadeath. You get 1 life per round, that's it. All your stuff gone. Unless, like we were saying earlier, you find a shovel, we dig somewhere that we know is on the map, and then we find it in our next playthrough.
Like, that sounds like finding a needle
in a haystack.
A big haystack. It's another aspect of this game that's just gonna beat you over the head. So Nate, you've jumped into DayZ, you've been beaten up a little bit. What do you want to score this game?
Well, after this much suffering and pain, man, this game was tough. I love survival games, but it was just a little too barren and empty for me. I'm gonna have to give this a 6. There's definitely a game that people like here, and it has a pretty big following, so I respect it, but for me, 6, man.
Yeah, I jumped in and I tried to get through it, but really, I admire this game for how it looks and how it, the premise of it more than the actual execution of it, unfortunately. I have to give that a 6 as well.
We took a dive right into Livonia. Due to difficulty, we did not survive. If you liked that video, check out our channel and consider giving us a subscribe.